I can't hear you. I don't know if
Okay,
there we go. I can hear you now.
I had an update for my computer, folks, and it changed my settings. Welcome to Double Barrel Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. I don't usually get these technical issues. It's not good, but it is what it is. Lots of new names here, lots of banter and conversation. Look, I had written an entirely different show, and well, here we are. There was a Phil Spencer interview with Bloomberg. Phil Spencer said some things, and we're going to break down everything he said. We're going to spend the 90 minutes of today's show breaking down what exactly it means. I just want this to be clear. Listen, I get it. There were things said that a lot of people didn't like. There are some people in the chat right now that, you can tell that they have a bit of a distaste to what was said. It's okay for us not to agree. It's okay for us not to like what they're doing. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you, but I also understand the way the business is moving. But before we get into the breaking down of it, I big shout out to Cloreal, shout out to Jez Corden of Windows Central, shout out to Hazardor Gaming, who've been posting almost everything that was going on. And I have a lot of the quotes that were very easily readable and attainable thanks to these amazing community members. But listen, let's get to the introduction so we can get right into the topics, because this one is going to be a bit spicy. Hargi Chani, listen, you obviously saw that I called an audible at the last minute. Like I was saying, when no one heard me, I would be remiss as a host if we did not talk about this particular thing. This is a big deal. It's not something that's new. We kind of knew this was happening. I think Phil was very concise in what he said about now Redline. That is the one comment that has a lot of people vexed. I understand it. I'm the oldest guy in this room, folks, or just about one of the oldest guys in this room. So I understand that exclusivities matter. They mattered. They matter today. I still believe they matter. They just don't matter as much as they used to, because the business is changing. And the problem, Hargeet, is the cost of this business is outpacing the change. That is the problem. And again, they have to find a solution for it. Console sales is not the answer. Keeping games on one platform is not the answer. And I got news for you. I don't know if Nintendo ever does it. I don't think they have to, but Sony is already doing it. Yes, it's drips as opposed to like the dam busting open with Xbox. But Hargeet, how you feeling, brother? Lots of emotion in the community today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine, but yeah, I guess today was a little bit fun. There's good stuff, and there's stuff that we already kind of know, but whatever. It's just kind of an interesting confirmation of a few things, right? We'll get into it.
I mean, look. Like I said, I don't want to ruin my points, kind of just to get it out here. We're gonna get into it, but hey, Keisante, welcome back, brother. How you feeling? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Good evening. Yes, there it is. I'm doing okay. Sorry I'm late. Been a busy day.
It's been a day, dude. It has been a day.
Yeah, indeed it has. I'm happy to be here. Good to see you, Hargeet. Folks in the chat already getting rowdy. I wonder what happened today. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, look. So, I mean, let's rip the Band-Aid right off. Okay, so I pulled a tweet from Hazardor Gaming. And again, please follow him. It's at Hazardor Gaming with the missing G, Gamin. Phenomenal member of the community. Consistently puts out unbelievable work. Is still recovering from surgery and still manages somehow to, do what he does on Twitter. So the new interview that happened today was with Phil Spencer, who is, of course, the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. We all know Phil. Some people, like myself, still like to believe, and King David as well, that he is Phil Maximus Aurelius Spencer, Dominus Spencer. And I believe that he does things, he moves in spaces that other people can't move in. He is in a powerful position. I believe that he is trying to do the best for the brand as well as the customers. and the customers are us. Well, according to many points we're going to get into here, the way it was broken down by Hazardor Gaming says Microsoft is still looking for acquisition in the gaming space. Now, we kind of knew this already. This is not new news. I believe that they have been holding at a holding pattern for a couple of years now, obviously because they got ABK done last year. And, things are changing in government, meaning that Lena Khan is no longer going to be in charge. There is a president that is going to be taking over on January 6th that has a business mind. We already knew that, regardless of who won, Lena Khan was out because she has been called, people have said publicly about her that she has stifled business within the United States. So we can see Microsoft continuing their acquisition game, and who knows who's next, right? Well, we also got confirmation, and again, this is not new information, that they have a handheld an Xbox handheld planned. Phil says in the interview that it's a couple of years out. I don't think he's being honest there. I think it's sooner than we think. He says a couple of years. Does that count this year and next year? Is that 25 and then in 26? I don't know specifically, but I believe that it's much sooner than a lot of people are thinking. That's just my general thought on it. And this is the big one, Hargeet, and I'm going to go to you first, brother. As for multi-platform, As for the multi-platform strategy for Xbox moving forward, according to Phil Spencer, here is exactly what he said. There are no, quote, red lines for which Xbox games will come to PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. And he has confirmed, again, by the numbers that we got a couple of weeks ago, the business is healthier than ever for Xbox. So, I mean, obviously, you're not on social media, but you are well aware of what is going on with this story. I'm going to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, and I think Hargeet has already said it, and I think he will agree. There isn't anything really new here. Is it a more concentrated confirmation of what the business is going to be looking like? Sure. I know people are in their feelings, and if you are a diehard only Xbox player and your way of doing business and thinking about the business is it's either my platform or no platform. I was there. But I also understand that things have to change. My ideologies have moved and changed. Do I like the way the industry is moving? Well, of course I don't. Again, I've always been a multi-platform console owner since I was a kid. When there was NES, there was the Sega Master System in my house. When there was the Super Nintendo, there was the Genesis. When there was the GameCube, there was the Dreamcast and the TurboGrafx 16 and the Neo Geo. And mind you, I bought all this with my own paperboy money because my pops was the only one that worked, and he was a blue-collar dude. So we weren't rich. We were under middle class. So I didn't get these things. I earned them. And I've been supporting multiple platforms my entire gaming life. So I understand where, you buy a console, you buy into the brand, Hargeet. This is the kind of brand that you want because it has Halo, Gears, and Forza, and you can play this on your console, you can play it on your PC, but you can't play it anywhere else. Well, that is not the way the game is being played. Now, if you don't like the game, I don't know. I don't think it's ever going back to the old way. Hargeet, let's try and make some sense of this.
Look, I mean, this isn't something new. We already know this is kind of their strategy. But you have to look at it from a realistic perspective, right? Xbox has never done well outside of the US. It just hasn't. And there's no miracle that's going to happen that's going to change that.
Correct.
It's a very hard thing to do. Okay. So what they do have is Windows. Windows is good everywhere. So that is another one of their platforms. Could they be more involved in it? Sure. But ultimately, a Windows license is a Windows license. That's just a platform for them. Yep. I'm sure they would love to get the 30%. which, I mean, they have the potential to do that if they buy a certain store. They could do that. They could also just say, game developers put stuff in the, Windows, Microsoft, store as well. And you now have access to that, however many people want to buy it. Right. So there's the potential there. But look, that platform is growing for them. It's still good. Right. And that is where the next generation decided to go, mobile and PC. Unfortunately, the console kind of stagnated, right? We're the ones buying consoles. It's our generations. We love the console because we grew up with it, right? And that's cool, but that's going to dwindle. They know that. So look, every one of them is looking at what's next, right? The big question is how do you do mobile? That's not an easy nut to crack. It's just not. So those who have made small games, like AAA games and mobile, I don't know how viable that is until you get to a point where it's something where you can have easy control access within a touchscreen interface. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, right? So the AAA space there, it hasn't really taken off. What you do get is, say something like Call of Duty will have the simple Warzone capability, and we'll put that there, and it works. It works. It's fine. Fortnite has a simple mode there. It'll work. It's not the full game, but you can take that mode and say, hey, this might work there, and it works, right? But not everything does. Now, Microsoft is positioned pretty well now because they have King. They will do pretty well in the mobile space. They will expand on that. They already have gotten the PC space now with Bethesda and Blizzard. Those are major players in the PC space. So they're kind of looking good there. What happens in the console space, right? That's the big question mark. Sony's realized that they can't make their money back. So they've decided to go multi-platform. They're going to PC. For some of their games, it's not day and date. A lot of their games, it is day and date. So now we have to see what happens going forward for them, right? They're starting to look into how do we make money? Certainly when you have losses like Concord, you're going to start saying, well, why is it taking so long to get to PC? Because I want to get that money. So you see that the Spider-Man 2 dwindled, right? And I don't know if those numbers that came out in their financials are valid or not, but if you saw that list of sales, they saw 10 million for Spider-Man 2, which I think might be higher at this point. I'm not sure why that table was there, but they list 10 million for Spider-Man 2, which to me means they haven't even broken even, right? Because that you barely get to that point at 10 million.
Yes.
So that's why it's coming to PC really fast. Is that they need to make money back. This is just the world they're in, right? The games are becoming expensive. What do you do? So look, Sony went multiplat. Xbox went multiplat mid last gen, right? They said we're going to PC day and date. We're done with like trying to just say on console only. That just doesn't work for us anymore. Now the question is, do you go to Nintendo and PlayStation as well? Look, they're going to do this for more and more games. We knew that was going to happen. The question is how many? And what he's basically saying is there's no like internal red line that thou shalt not, right? That doesn't mean that they still won't do that analysis and say, is it worth it, right? Is it going to hurt the brand too much to do this? But he's saying, look, it's all on the table.
Right.
And we've been saying that. It's all on the table. Don't think that Forza Horizon might not just show up. It may. Don't think that, like, Halo Master Chief Collection doesn't just show up. It may. We don't know that. There's no guarantees. It would be nice if there were some exclusives for those of us in that kind of mindset. But the reality of this is if they want to make a game at a high budget level to make it great, expect it to go everywhere. That's just the way it's going to be. Like you look at what happened with Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty goes into Game Pass. Not only does it expand Call of Duty, it made the most money ever, right? It's one of the biggest launches for Call of Duty, period, right? They have to be looking at it and saying, well, okay, why not Gears? Why not Halo? What's stopping that? Well, what's stopping that is enthusiasm for a brand. Okay, what does that mean? If Halo went to PlayStation, those of us who are Xbox fans in the US, are we going to suddenly not be Xbox fans? I don't know what the answer to that is, right? How many people would ditch it? I don't know. Because remember, you lose Game Pass. If that's of value to you, and they must see the metrics, because like I think pretty much everybody who has one has Game Pass, unless they have secondaries like I do. I have secondaries in the house, and they don't have anything, but I have Game Pass, right? The secondaries don't, but I have Game Pass, and they've got to know what the metrics are of how many people own the console, and how many of them subscribe to Game Pass, right? And it's probably at the point of like we're not getting any more, right? That's just the way it is, right? So what do you do to expand? They've got PC. hopefully that takes off. They're looking at mobile, but they're waiting on the whole cases, like the court cases that are happening with iOS and Android, to get that to go somewhere. So whenever that pans out, it pans out. That might be years from now. The other option is using Nintendo and PlayStation, which is what they're doing. So look, I don't know what happens when. That statement to me is much more of a, yeah, this is what we're doing. And he said this several times. This is like the 20th time. Like, he keeps saying it, and like, you just have to take him at his word. And anything can go. Anything can go. And they will be doing more. We know they're going to be doing more. You should just expect it. Will it be day and date? Probably not. Will it happen? Sure. Like you had Indy, it's coming in, what, 6 months, 3 months, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's a 6-month deal. Right? It's probably going to be out in May whatever next year. Yeah.
Right. So you got that coming. That's going to happen. Expect others. Like I've been saying, Age. I don't know why Age of Empires isn't already there. That's a pre-existing game that's been around forever.
Yeah, for ages. Why no pun intended.
Right? It's like, throw it out there. What is it? I mean, is anybody gonna like, I'm never gonna play on Xbox as Age of Empires? Who cares? Just go put it out there. Like, what difference does it make? Go ahead. Right? If you can get Age of Mythology, go ahead. Right? Flight Sim, another one. It's been around since the 80s. Go ahead. Like, if it can be run on the PS5, do it. I don't like, is that going to kill Xbox? How many people even play that from an Xbox exclusive perspective? I don't think people even count it as an Xbox exclusive, even though it is one, right? So again, I don't care. That's fine. It's a question of the core few games. I don't know if they don't go there though. Like, I keep hearing Forza is going to go over. We keep hearing it. If it does, is that the end of the world? I don't know, right? I'm more excited about the stuff that comes to Game Pass. So when I hear acquisitions are still on the table, maybe not the large ones, but there's nothing imminent, which also just means that they haven't started looking. And when opportunities present themselves, that they might jump on them. They weren't buying ABK until the opportunity presented itself.
Correct, sir.
And suddenly, 2 months later, they bought it, right? This is how it goes, right? So we don't know what opportunities present themselves. It's a new world, as you were mentioning. We have LenaCon going away. And that's Jan 20s when they take over. But I don't know if they'll have something ready. It'll probably still be months. I'm thinking it'll be mid-year before they finally get the confirmations and all that, right? But that's happening. And in that world, would they pounce on something else? It's viable. Look, to me, the obvious one is if you can work out with Gabe Newell how to get, like, Valve, just get it. Because then you own Steam. Then this whole debate is over. Why? The Steam is on Xbox at that point. It's done. Who cares? All those every game is going to be on Steam. Every game, all the PlayStation games, they're all on Steam. They're all on Steam. If they're on your Xbox, why do you care? Right? If you've got all their games, why do you care? Buy the box, you care. It doesn't matter. At this point, it's do you want Game Pass or do you want to pay $70? You choose, right? Because you got all of them. Even PlayStation games, you play on your Xbox. Why? It's up to you now. Do you want to get Game Pass or do you want to pay $70 per pop? And some people will want to pay $70 per pop. More power to you. Absolutely do it. You love the ecosystem of PlayStation? Absolutely do it. No problem.
Yeah.
And Microsoft doesn't care. They'll have so many games that you will want to buy that they will say, please give us your money. And that's fine. Right? Feeds my Game Pass.
Well, they win. Hargeet, so basically what you're saying is they win either way. And when I say they win, I'm talking about Microsoft.
And we win either way because Game Pass sustains itself and gets more games. And that's what we want to see. I want to see the next game coming from blah, blah, blah publisher that they now own is going day and date in Game Pass like Call of Duty, right? That's what I want to see. More games. Just look at the value we get in Game Pass. And the more we get, the better it is. Whether you play on PC, whether you play on Xbox, the value proposition is there. You can choose to pay the monthly fee or go buy per game. Up to you. No problem, right? Now, the other part I've been saying is when they merge these worlds together, at some point, it just won't bloody matter because then I can buy anybody's freaking machine. It'll just be an Xbox that plays my Xbox games. And then I'll be happy. I don't care, right? Then I can just buy the one that I'm enthusiastic about, right? If that's a Lenovo, cool. If that's a, Dell, that's cool. If it's an Alienware, that's cool, right? Whatever it is, right? A ROG, it's fine. I don't care. Or if it's Microsoft, Surface, blah, 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 or Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Right? Whatever I'm enthusiastic about. And they don't care because they get their money. That's all they care about, right? So fair enough, right? So the question is, when does that happen? I don't know if that happens the next gen, if it happens the gen after, whatever. It's going to happen, though. At some point, Windows will be the thing, and Windows and Xbox will sort of merge because they own it. So it's going to kind of get there. So I'm not as worried about this, but look, I understand the enthusiasm hit, right? Because people are still thinking in that old mindset. I get that. Newer generations though don't care. PC players are like, you're all idiots.
Yeah, they really
they
are.
get
They're
everything.
laughing.
They're
They're
like,
laughing at the
why
people
do you
now.
care if games are going? Who cares? I get all your games, so you guys can keep fighting over this. That doesn't matter to us, right? And we don't pay for online. And like, this is just the world we're in, right? And like, things are kind of going in a direction. Like, at some point, I think the majority of people will say, what, my TV can't just play the game? I just want to like run up the PlayStation app and I just play my game, whether it runs natively or it runs through a cloud. I don't care. I just want to play my game. And I can just bring up the Xbox app and play my game. I can bring up a PlayStation app and it brings my games up. I'm good, right? I don't care. That's where it's going to end up. I don't know when that happens, but that is eventually where it's going to be. Because why do you need another device, right? Everybody thought that you're going to need another, device under your TV to do your Netflix and your Hulu. Now it's all built in. It's all built in. Your TV just comes with
It's just
all
an
this.
app now.
It's just an app, okay? And that's where it's going to go. And like the native processing capabilities in these TVs are also getting ridiculous. They're starting to get more and more powerful because they have to keep up. And as they're doing that, well, gee, you can just use that same processor when you're not, watching movies, which has motion processing. You take that same processor and say, I'm going to do game processing. At some point, they'll figure that out, right? And your Android-based TV will play the Android-based mobile game thing that happens to also have some capability from AI in the cloud, right? That's what they'll end up doing, something along those lines. That might be 15 years from now, but eventually it's going to get there. Now, what happens in the interim? I don't know, right? I don't know if Switch 2 is going to be the big competitor. If people will ditch Xbox, I don't know why they do that. If you have Game Pass, if you already own it, you own it, right? Up to you. You can always decide, no, I want to pay my $70. Okay, fair enough. Go ahead. Right. But if you have an Xbox, keep it. Like, you have it, right? The other thing that's much more interesting to me, who's upgrading these days? It's a lot of people are still on the Xbox One and the PS4. Once you have a serious console, are you really going to upgrade? When are you going to upgrade? When the next gen comes, are you going to ditch your series console? How many people will stay on what they're on right now? It's going to be a lot because people haven't even left the old gen. So this is just a different world we're in, right? In the PC world, this is common, right? If you bought like a 1080, you're probably still playing on 1080. You might have upgraded to 2080, and that's old tech, but it doesn't matter. It works. It works. So people just stay there. And this is what you're seeing with like the old Xbox One and PS4. People are still on it. The original freaking VCR, they're still on it. It doesn't matter, right? This is the world we're in. So these series consoles are going to be around for a long time. So if you're on it, just keep playing. Just keep playing, right? You can keep playing on that console. Now, as far as the rest of the world, I don't know that it necessarily would change, right? Because if they wanted to expand and say, we're going to keep everything local on our, it's all going to be exclusive, they would need to penetrate the European market and the Asian market somehow. They've tried. It's just not working. They do not resonate with Xbox. Is that going to change somehow? I don't know what miracle would happen that would change it. I don't know. I don't know what that would be, right? You'd say, hey, Call of Duty's in there. Is that going to change it? Well, we'll see if it makes any measurable dent. Maybe it does. It's not likely, though. And they're going to check these metrics over and over, right? They're all about data. They're going to check these metrics. Did Call of Duty change and shift people over to Xbox from PlayStation? And where? It might have happened in the US. What happens in the UK? What happens in France? What happens in Germany? What happens in Japan? What happens in China? What happens in India? They're going to look at these markets and say, what's happening, right? That's where it matters. And unfortunately, if it doesn't resonate enough with those other territories, it's always a problem for them. So it's better to put your games elsewhere. That's just the way it's going to be, right? So the more they get those, like the non-existent market share in those other territories, they're going to say, hey, we want customers. So PC is one venue, cool, but not everybody's going to be on PC. Like you, Boom, you have a PC, you still won't play on it. Guess what? They're going to give you a console access by putting it on Switch and putting it on, PlayStation, because they just want the customer. That's just the way it's going to be. Now, there might be timed exclusives, but I think the multiplayer games, you might find it actually is kind of more day and date, but that's kind of how it goes. So I don't know. I'm much more excited about the fact that there is a handheld. It's guaranteed. It's something they're working on, and more acquisitions are coming.
I mean, again, look, I understand if people are looking at the interview with their glass being half full. I'm not going to fight you on it, Asante. People are going to be in their fields. People want gaming to be the way it used to be, where you bought said console and you stayed on said console because they had said games. That's not the case anymore. And like I said, yes, all the arrows were slung at Xbox for doing it first. Now they've only done 4 games, right? What's happening next year? Well, we know Indiana Jones is happening. We know that Doom, The Dark Ages is releasing on PlayStation 5. We know those 2 games. Those both games are Xbox owned IPs. So every time someone from PlayStation buys these games, Microsoft smiles, and every time they get a new subscriber into Xbox Game Pass, they smile even more because they're double dipping. They're getting it from new people subscribing to the service because it's valuable, and people who don't want to come over to Xbox may be on PC, may be on PlayStation. They're going to buy the game on PlayStation for full boat, PC on Steam. Maybe they still buy it for full boat, or maybe they sign up for PC Game Pass. Either way, Xbox and Microsoft are making money. Well, now, what does that matter to us, Que Asante? Well, nothing, because we're not getting any of the money, but we are getting increased value. And the thing that I kind of want to drive home is, as long as we aren't losing as Xbox fans, then there's nothing. I don't like it, folks, but I understand that the business is changing and I don't have a say. Now, some people will tell you, oh, you do have a say, Boom. You can vote with your wallet. And that's exactly why I'm subscribed to Xbox Game Pass, because I vote with my wallet. My money is limited. My pension is fantastic, but has a ceiling, folks. And Game Pass gives me the ability to buy games for PlayStation that I want, to buy games that I want for the Switch, and for games that are not in Xbox Game Pass, like Space Marine 2, I go out and I buy, and I gladly buy it with a smile. And I still feel like I'm winning. But if you don't, I hear you. Okay, I do want to bring you in. I want to get your thoughts on it, but here are some more quotes from Phil's interview. Again, this is courtesy of Clobreel. You don't know who Clobreel is, you should follow him also. Same with Hazardor Gaming. Phenomenal members of the community. It says, now I'm going to read it again. Some of the stuff we've already talked about. Xbox is still looking at acquisitions that add geographic diversity, to their portfolio, including in Asia, which of course, obviously, would a big Japanese studio would be awesome. Sega, I don't know, we'll see. They're looking for opportunities to partner with creative teams in China, which that's great news. Xbox handheld expectations is what we would be doing something. Of course, the device is a few years out, according to Phil. I don't think it's that far out, but that's just my take on it. He says, I love us building devices. On more games coming to Nintendo PlayStation, I do not see a sort of red line in our portfolio. The Xbox business has never been more healthy, which means a more healthy future for hardware and the games we build. And lastly, we're not going to grow the market with $1,000 consoles. I don't know if that's some sort of a shot at Sony with their $700 PS5 Pro and all the add-ons, almost $900. I don't know. But Kay, let's talk about it. Let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, so okay. First and foremost, I appreciate that Phil did this interview, because for a while now I've been hearing people say, well, if you're just going to be third party, if you're just going to put it out there, then just be honest with the people. Tell us what you're going to do, let us understand, and then we'll move on, right? And in many ways, shape, or form, he has told us what he's going to do in one way, shape, or form, and another way, right? But people always claim that he's not clear enough. I think this is as clear as it can be. I hope that we can move on now, right? I will say, I'm not airing any tea or anything like that, but this has been something we have known in certain circles for a long time now. Yeah. You heard me call us, like you heard me on this air and many other places call us horseshoe makers. I knew why I was calling us horseshoe makers back then. This information is one of the worst kept secrets. It's always been out there, right? The idea of red lines. Oh, they said there's only 4. I'm like, why did you only say there was 4? You're setting yourself up for more ridiculous
Well, I mean, he did. He said,
aggravation.
he said 4 at the time being.
I
Meaning
know.
yeah.
But if you give those who think the Nile is a river in Egypt even the smallest bit of hope, they're gonna hold on to that hopium until the wheels fall off, right? You need to just come out and go, no hope, all of them gone. Deal with it now, gentlemen and lady. Deal with it, because we don't live in that world anymore, right? I have done many a sermon. I have done many a prognosticating. I have done some educating. We've done history lessons. It just doesn't make sense anymore. It used to make sense. It does not anymore. It's just the way it is, right? And just because and when I say we, I'm talking about people of a certain follicle, a certain follicle blend. You know what I mean? Those of us who grew up in this paradigm assume that this is the way it should be because this is how it's always been.
Right.
It has always been a means to an end, and I will break that down for those who don't understand what a means to an end is. Okay, newspaper companies need paper. If they didn't need paper, they wouldn't buy paper. They want to deliver the news. They don't sell you paper. They sell you news. It just so happens that the paper is what they need to deliver said news, right? The moment people don't buy paper anymore, what are they doing? Digital. They're online. You go read the website. That is literally what is happening in consoles right now. Forever and a day, they've needed to provide you a bespoke piece of hardware in order to do what they really want to do, which is sell you digital bits. Because that, after a certain while, everything they sell you of those digital bits is profit, right? Every time they sell you digital bits, in the beginning, it has to equal the cost of production. It has to equal the cost of marketing. But after that, profit, right? That's all there is. Profit at that point. Physical hardware will always cost them something. Even 8-10 years down the line, right now, Nintendo makes a profit on all Switch hardware they sell. I think they make like at last count it was like $40 for
They're
every
probably
Switch
going to make money on the new console releasing
Sure.
next year. That's a
But-
fact.
But when they make it, it costs them money until you buy it. Right. So then they have to do the song and dance of we have to order and put it in the stores, but we hope people will buy it because if they don't, now we are losing money. Right. Whereas and Nintendo has it right because they're making their money back plus a little bit of interest the minute you buy it because they're not putting the greatest chips in the world on there. They're always far enough behind the 8-ball that those processors that they're putting in your console that you love so much, because let's be honest, you're there to buy their games. The hardware is many years old at that point. So at that point, it's not costing them $250 to make the hardware so they can charge you $300. No, it's costing them $80. It's costing them $100 at most, right? Not PlayStation, not Xbox. It still costs them money to make their hardware even when you buy it. PlayStation recently said that that's no longer the case. I bet you it's not more than $10. If that. Hardware is a means to an end, the end being selling you the bits. What has changed since this whole paradigm started coming on board? What has changed since we console lovers have loved our consoles? All of a sudden, consoles are no longer necessary. All of a sudden, consoles went from a specific technical definition for a bespoke piece of hardware that is locked in stone for X amount of years, deemed a generation, to then redo that whole R&D cost and the song and dance again. Now, consoles are a marketing term, hiding the PC-ness of themselves, because that's all they are, PCs. They are purposely limited PCs now. That's what consoles are, with a beautiful UI that hides all the PC-ness from you. That's all consoles are today. And it costs them money to make that. When in fact, there are a bunch of PC people who will just buy their game without having to cost them money. When in fact, there are people who are like, you know what? I like that other console. I don't like your console for whatever ridiculous reason. I don't like your console. I'm never going to like your console. That's just it. What are they going to do? Oh, well, screw you. Then your money is no longer green. Hell no. Well, here you go. We'll take 70% of your dollar reduced. Thank you very much. This is the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen, right? We are all men and women of a certain age. We are professionals, most likely. We work, have jobs, we have kids, we have responsibilities. I'm sure in your audience right now, there are many business owners. If you put your business owner hat on right now and you talk about whatever product you're selling and you go, well, I'm just going to keep it to this specialty thing is going to be only for my audience. And even though there's a whole addressable market right over here that I could be taking money from, I'm not going to do that because, this is my audience. You got to come to me. It don't make dollars and it don't make sense. Some people remember that old rap song. It just doesn't make sense. So while I understand where we come from in this, right? I've always been a PC gamer. Well, that's even limiting. I've always been a gamer of all stripes. I've been gamed wherever gaming was. My first gaming device was a Brother word processor. Okay, that was my first gaming device. That's what it was. It had Tetris in it. It was black and white. I played the hell out of that thing for many, many ages. That's where I game. I have never been beholden to one versus another, and I'm very transactional in my dealings and relationships with other vendors. So like I right now have an EA Play Pro account. Why? Because I'm playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. Before I had that account, I didn't have that account. I had a Ubisoft Plus account because I was playing Star Wars Outlaws. And then when the Veilguard is done, if they don't have much for me, by then UB Plus will be back in style because hopefully then Assassin's Creed Origins Shadows will have released, and I'll have a UB Plus account again, right? I am booked up on Game Pass for years because every time I look at Game Pass, I see something new and interesting I didn't know I wanted to play. What I want to play now, which I have heard for years is good, but I've never had an opportunity to easily play it, is the campaign of StarCraft. I'm gonna be in there. Why? Because it's never been something that has called my name, but it's literally sitting right here. I can play it right here. I can play it on the cloud. I can play it, right? This is the world we live in. So I guess forgive the TED Talk, but I say all this to say, if your interests are solely to make sure that you keep your games going and you keep your interests alive, right? You got to be like them ponies, and I don't mean that facetiously in that way, where they have the blinders on, and all you do is just focus on your games because you'll still get those. You will still get those, right? You may like some of you may not like some of the ramifications of how you continue to get those, but I guarantee you that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has a far better chance of being deemed a success, being everywhere, including PlayStation, than otherwise. And if that game is as good as it looks like it's going to be, because we live in a world where great games go to die because they don't get enough marketing or not enough people give it a chance or whatever.
Right.
If you want to see another game in this franchise, I suggest you be happy that it's everywhere it's going to be, and you just go and you play that game, whether you buy it on PlayStation or you play it in the Game Pass, right? We just live in a world where we console-loving public are no longer enough. We just are not. PlayStation has said it. Microsoft has shown it, right? I was having this conversation with a few folks in the Discord. If Microsoft woke up tomorrow, and went, you know what? We've had enough. It was a good run. We're done. Hey, PlayStation, buy Xbox. Take all of our install base. And now you wake up and everyone every console gamer is an Xbox, is a PlayStation gamer. Guess what? Totoki would still come out and go, it's not enough. Because the console market is too damn small for the budget of the games they're building. Right? If PlayStation woke up owning the entire market, the game they are playing, the business model they have going, already setting an example for you that every game must show pores of skin and all of this. Why do you think Nintendo's games are shell shaded all over the place? Because they don't want to head down that path and set those expectations to then start losing their own money, right? So at the end of the day, this is what they want. They want to make sure that you who love the game continues to love the game, and you should want to make sure that that game continues existing. And how will it continue to exist? By every graybeard who ever heard of Indiana Jones, who has any proportion to love it, getting their hands on it, whether they be on the platform of choice or not. Because that's the only way it'll guarantee maybe another Indiana Jones game comes out. Because let's be honest, most of us on Xbox are not over a certain age. Many of us on Xbox, and more every day, will go, Indiana who? Isn't that like an Uncharted clone? And we don't want that. So I believe that this is going to be the same across the board. Clutch your pearls, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're sitting down for this. E-Day is a reboot, starting from the beginning. So guess what you can do when you're starting from the beginning? You could put it everywhere and get more customers from the beginning. There are no red lines because at the end of the day, those red lines make no financial sense. It is what
do you say to my point earlier that the cost of gaming or the game production is outpacing how they make money?
Yes, exactly. That is exactly the case. That and let's be clear, that is my fault, your fault, Hargeet's fault, those in the chat, it's our fault. You know why? Because if you were content with pick your Nintendo game, you may still have exclusives because those budgets stay clawed tight and they go, oh, see the I don't know, $600,000? Yeah, do more with that. But you want MetaHuman, you want to not be able to tell the difference between Keanu Reeves and digital Keanu Reeves.
Well, you want nanites and
you want nanites.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You want tessellation and ray tracing.
Yeah, look, I'm the one who said I don't want any of that crap. I'm happy with the Nintendo graphics.
you are rare. You are rare among them.
You
are rare among them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I literally have a video on my site saying is graphic fidelity killing gaming. Because
that's
it is.
Exactly the
I don't
deal.
care.
Yes.
I don't want it. I'd rather have like 3 Mass Effects in like 6 years. I'd rather have that. I don't care about the graphics. I'd rather have the story.
This is the thing, right? See, and this is why what you're saying here, Hargeet, this is why when a single player, one and done, small creative idea, I'm like, we should all be championing it to tell them this is what we want. Instead, you go, no. Fidelity isn't there, Oh, no. What is it? Concord died because the booty wasn't bootylicious enough. Okay, well, they'll give you more of that. But you know what that means? More money to be spent.
Oh, it's just
more
so crazy,
hours.
Man.
Now dev times turn to 6, 7, 8 years, 200,000 to like millions of dollars. What, you think they're going to do all that?
Remember
and then,
Craig?
Exactly.
Let me
do
do
they're going to
Craig.
They're going to do all of that and then go, you know what? This 35, 36, hell, this 100 million addressable market, these are the only places? Hell no. There are 1 billion user IDs on freaking Steam. They're going everywhere because the money that goes in demands ROI. Yeah. That's what it is. That is what it is. But it's not all gloom and doom for us because if you love these franchises, because look, let's be absolutely real about it. They are here to make money. They're not here to give you what you want. If you give them money without giving you what you want, and that would work, they would do that, right? You're just keeping your money until you see something you like. So at the end of the day, we must focus on what we want. It's a transactional relationship. The more they do this, the more you go, hey, I like this. I don't like that. Hey, this one game is great. I like this. I don't like that. I mean, I know there are some among you who love the idea of, putting a thumb in the eye of your hooved brethren. Maybe those talking points won't last. Maybe those won't be as prevalent as they used to be. Maybe you're having too good of a time in them streets, warring about plastics that may or may not matter. That you're gonna have to lose. But as far as gaming is concerned, if you're really a gamer, I honestly don't see this as necessarily in the long run. That is, in the short term, we're losing things. I get it. But in the long run, when all of this is said and done, I honestly think it'll be better for everybody. You'll be able to play whatever the hell you want,
where you
like
want
the
to play.
world I live in right now is where everybody else is going to live. I play on my PC, and then I pick it up and I pick up the handheld, and the saves are right there. And then every once in a while, my kids are like, "Let's play Vampire Survivors," and then I'm in the office with the Xbox, and we're playing there. The same saves, man. They carry wherever you go. Everyone should be living that life. We should live in the life that Hargeet's talking about, where you just turn the damn TV on, turn on the app, and there you are. You're playing your game. And that's it, right? The hardware shouldn't matter. People like me should care about the hardware. We care about them speeds and feeds and the tweaking and the twerking. You don't care about that. All you care about is the games. So let the games come wherever you choose to have them. And everything's fine. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, shout out to Mav from Fun Speculation. He did a Mav cast. I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow morning, Mav. I was in the chat for a little bit. He says not only does he agree with you, great points, Kay Asante, he says, and the benefits of the ecosystem will be what separates where you want to play your games. And
exactly.
It says, he continues, where value and service is the best for you as a customer.
To his a quick example, Steam right now is the store. Do they do that because they're money hatting people? No, they're not. You can put your game wherever the hell you want, right? They have offered such value and such features and such comfortability with using it and a console-like experience for my console emotional gamers out there. #CEG. They have done that so much so that nobody wants to go anywhere else. Freaking Epic is throwing games at you, and I'm talking AAA top. But I have 300 games on Epic. I bought one. Many of the AAA high budget games. They are
because they just give you the free games, right? It's like why not?
Because of Amazon gaming. My GOG Galaxy account.
There's one store that is different. Is GOG because it lets you own the game. Right, there's no DRM. It's like you own it; it's yours. And so,
but still,
are attracted to that. Like,
even in a world where there's a game store that will literally give you the installer as well, they'll give you free stuff. Guess what people buy their stuff? Steam, because it's valuable and it's convenient, and that's where every game, even though they have DRM. This is the world we live in.
Yeah,
right? People will buy stuff. The differentiating factor will be convenience. It won't be, oh, this game is here versus that game. You will go to Netflix because it just got what you want. Click and you're playing it, right? You could go to Amazon or you could go to Disney. They have it here. Okay, click. I'm watching it. Why? Because it continues and resumes my saves or whatever. The convenience, the quick resume and the FPS boost and your library's carrying on wherever you. That's how they differentiate themselves from the other guy, even if they're just another app next to another app. Which is where we're going, I suspect.
So, okay, I have another thought and a theory that I want us to tackle because it's raging not only online, but it's raging here in the chat. I want it to be addressable. But Pete in the chat, welcome Pete as always. He says the core issue here is that PlayStation gets Xbox games, but Xbox doesn't get PlayStation games. That's for now. Yeah. That's going to change. Why is that going to change, Pete? Money. Because if the $3 trillion company is trying to get money from here, there, and everywhere, the billion-dollar company who just took a $400 million bath on Concord, who spent $3.6 billion on a failing Bungie and a Destiny that no one's playing, and a new game that no one knows what the hell it is in Marathon, and no one actually gives a shit about, they're in trouble. They have closed 6+ studios in the last couple of years. Look at
this quick example.
Sure.
Square Enix. They used to be the PlayStation exclusive driver, right?
Yep.
And after a while, they saw that it wasn't working out for them in their best interest. So what did they do? They got rid of the guy who was an ideologue that was continuing to facilitate that negotiation in their CEO. And now every news article is about how they're going to release it day and date everywhere.
Yes.
Same exact thing is happening here, right? PlayStation had an ideologue, all the we're gonna, beat them up, money hats, this and that and the third. Now you got a money man in the room, and all his priority is to turn a profit. And if you see these guys making money, why the hell wouldn't you want a piece of that? Indeed. Wouldn't your job be on the line if the board asks you, why is it that they're making money from our users but we're not making money from their users? And you'll be like, ecosystem. Yeah, you're looking for another job. This is why it's only a matter of time for PlayStation to find certain games. I'm not saying everything. Certain titles will start to intermingle because they see the money on the table. And why can they take our money? Because remember, any PlayStation user whose money goes to Xbox is money that has left the PlayStation ecosystem for Xbox. And that is basically a threat to their territory, right? Every PlayStation user, the wallet you have in your pocket belongs to Totoki, or it should, because you're in their ecosystem. And if these guys can walk into enemy territory and take your money and leaving them only 30%, that is terrible. Why can't we take their money too? This is what leads down the path of everyone intermingling as far as exclusivity being gone. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Real quick, to add some more context, fun speculation, Mav actually says another incredible point. Part of the reason PlayStation hasn't done it yet is they simply don't have the capability, which means this paper.
Yep.
They just don't have the money for investment because they are bleeding from every
they don't have the experience, right? They have calm down, sir. They don't have the experience. They had to hire Bluebird. They had to buy a studio to even start turning that around, right?
Yeah,
their history of ports haven't been stellar. Some are great, some are not so great, So they're still learning,
Indeed. Listen, I have, again, this is a conversation I want to have simply because if Phil Spencer made mention of it, people are trying to poo-poo it, and I want to clear it up. And I'm glad that we have you guys here. But before we do that, let me catch up on Super Chats. First of all, James176, who's been a rocking channel member for 52 months. Holy matrimony. Brother, that is very kind of you for the support. We super appreciate it. He says, hey, Boom, hope you're staying warm. No, this is my kind of weather, but I want blizzard-like conditions, and I have not been able to get that in years here in New York, so I'm pissed. I'm going to move to Antarctica because I can't take this no-snow weather. It sucks. But thank you so much, James, for the support. RC Polygons drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, we all know how this is going to happen. The media and PlayStation fanboys say that Xbox is dead. Boom and the Graybeards are going to sulk. I'm happy with handheld acquisitions and healthy ecosystem. I mean, but the thing is, what are we supposed to do? Again, when this is no shade for anyone who has done this. I'm not specifically pointing out a person or group. Some people have been so vexed by this, they have left the brand. Here's the problem with that. If you are okay buying PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro and getting all your Xbox games there, understand that you are paying $76.43 for those games. Okay, if that's what you want to do and you got that kind of dough, I go ahead and spend the money. Xbox thanks you. I am going to be playing Xbox first-party games for the remainder of my lifespan through Xbox Game Passes or as long as it exists. And it will continue to exist because after Black Ops' success, it's probably over 40 million. And we're expecting new numbers from Matt Piscatella and that community next Friday. At least that's the rumor. So we'll see what the numbers are, but they're making money whether it sells on PlayStation, it sells on Steam, or you buy it or you get it through Game Pass. They are making money. That is all that matters. And we as consumers are winning because that is where I want to spend my money and I'm getting the most value for it. Chris R drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, why does Phil not use Game Pass as a way to downplay multi-plat concerns? The reason to do Xbox over the other systems is day one Game Pass, but I guess that would require them to acknowledge it exists. But I think they do that already because all the commercials is played day one in Game Pass. And listen, Starfield is probably going next year. It's probably going to launch onto PlayStation. It's probably going to sell really well there. But we've already had it for how many years? By then, it'll be what, 2 years, right? If it releases September of 25, that's 2 years you've had it. You've played it. You've put 175 hours into it. You've enjoyed it. It goes to PlayStation. Who cares at this point? Again, I understand that I used to care about exclusives, but I also have evolved with the way the business is moving. And I am not going to be left behind. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I think there are certain games that should not go over, but I don't have a say. And again, if you come at me with well, you do have a say, vote with your wallet. I am voting with my wallet. I pay less than $10 a month for my Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription because I'm a savvy consumer. If you pay the $20 or you don't care that you're paying $20, even the $20 for what you're getting is not a bad deal. It's just not. Aris EMS _ EMS has once again gifted 10 double barrel gaming memberships. Holy cow. Sorry for that. I really appreciate it. And Aris _ EMS, thank you so much for the continued generosity. I mean, that's like bonkers generous. And we do greatly appreciate that here. We have Pyraf drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the interview made me understand that Xbox is going to release Halo, Gears, Fable, etc. everywhere. Unfortunately, Game Pass won't sell Xbox hardware. I don't know. They have to make it.
Game Pass is not supposed to sell Xbox hardware, though, right? Does Amazon Prime sell Fire Sticks for those who want to watch it there? Sure, but you can actually just watch it on your TV. Many TVs just have that app. Yeah, it's a choice. It's an option, right? And by the way, we've already said it. It's an option that costs them money, even when you buy it. So why would they want to emphasize that option? Do you want every time somebody buys something from you, it leaves a small hole in your pocket? Kind of makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be one thing if they get a profit from you buying it, but they're not making a profit from you buying it at all. They're making a profit, hopefully, from you buying it and then buying additional games and or buying a game, adding a Game Pass sub to it. Many people don't do that. Maybe you buy it and then play Fortnite forever. They've lost money on you.
We can get into the console cost thing, right? He did mention that we can't really get to a point of $1,000 console. Hint, hint. Consoles are getting expensive.
Well, here's the thing. I again, so Hargeet, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Look, and we have again MMac 2254 says, "Hey, K Boom Hargeet, what was the last Nintendo system with the latest SoC in it? That's never
GameCube,
maybe GameCube,
probably
right? On the path of what was latest and greatest, GameCube,
and then Xbox came out right after, or did it come before?
Yes,
I think it was.
They came out right before, but at the time they released it, they were on it. They were there at the time they needed to be there.
The Xbox was a smidge more powerful than the GameCube, but yeah, it was. At least it was in that ballpark. It was in that ballpark. It was certainly more.
That was the last time
than the PS2.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for the support, brother. He's been a channel member for 2 months, so we super appreciate that. But Hargeet, here's the thing that I keep seeing. People on the internet, people in gaming media, people in gaming circles, on the socials, which you're not a part of, and good for you for that, keep saying that why would Xbox continue to make hardware? They're just going to go away from hardware. Here's the problem with that ridiculous statement. Anyone that's running with that narrative, 40 million people on console are and again, I don't know if it's 40 million. It's probably somewhere around 20 something. And then Steam. I mean, PC is gaining steam for sure. But what do? You try to move everybody over to PC. What about people like me? I'm not going to PC. So I'm not buying a $5,000 rig. What I'm going to buy is the next console. Yes, are the console generation sizes for Xbox shrinking? Yes, but they're also selling the next console to the same people who want to play on console. That is people like me. So the idea that they're just going to abandon consoles is ridiculous. And Phil Spencer literally told you that. See, people, when I say read, people either read between the lines or read what they want to see. He says the Xbox business has never been more healthy, which means a more healthy future for hardware and the games we build. I don't understand how you can somehow make something different with that context. It again, it's a bit shocking and sometimes annoying trying to fend off the stupidity of that. He literally says that they're going to continue to build hardware, but he's a liar because he didn't tell us what the plans were. He literally told you what they were going to do, and now people are like, "Well, he's not. He should have been more forthcoming sooner." I'm not forgiving. Listen, if you want to leave the brand because you feel backstabbed, if you want to leave the brand because they're not appealing to your console war or list war thing, the door is right over there. Okay, that's all I can say to you. I'm not leaving. Xbox is my console of choice. It has been since 2001 when it launched, and I'm an Xbox guy. But I'm never going to not buy a PlayStation game because it's not on Xbox or a Nintendo game because it's not on PlayStation. That's why I own multiple consoles. I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. Now, if you can't, I understand that. But that's why you should stay with Xbox because they give you the best value out of any platform right now. What are your thoughts, Hargeet, into the hardware for Xbox is somehow going to magically disappear?
Look, as long as there's demand, they're going to keep making them. That's just it, right? Now, at what point is it too expensive for them to bother? Well, I don't know what that number is. It's certainly they're well beyond that. They don't need to sell 100 million consoles to be sustainable. They don't. Like 60 million, whatever they had for the last console, was more than enough for them. That was fine. They did another gen, right? So it comes down to how much they need to have for sustainability. With the cloud, that changes the game as well because that is still an Xbox, right? The cloud is still running an Xbox.
It is.
So they have a bunch of those Xboxes all over the world in xCloud. On top of that, they still have Windows. And look, they're not going to suddenly get rid of the whole Xbox ecosystem. As I said, eventually it'll just merge into Windows. But for now, they're just going to give you a box. They've already told you they have a next gen coming. So you're secured for at least another gen. And people are still on the Xbox One because it still works. Right. Most games come out, they still are on the Xbox One. Some are still, are now locked to the Xbox Series consoles 4 years in. Right? So these consoles are going to be around for a long time because they keep working. You just have to look at the reality of games are being put on Switch now. They're putting games on Switch. That was old when it started 8 years ago. It was old. The whole thing was old, right?
Yeah.
And they're still putting Hogwarts Legacy was released on Switch. It was also released on the Series consoles and on PS5, right? It's scaled all the way down to Switch. Games will go wherever there are consoles, wherever there are players. So I'm not as worried about that piece of it. It could be a problem if you want to start looking at, say, third-party support and they see no sales. That's an issue. But they've mitigated that by saying, you know what? Our store is the same on PC. So when you release it, you can have your game be on the Microsoft PC store for Windows as well as Xbox. So now you can mitigate that risk a bit by saying it's on both sides. Yes, people might like it on Steam. Fair enough, which is why they should buy Steam. But if they keep it that way, they still have the dual entitlement. They can get people to buy it on PC as well, right? So there's just value there. Then they have Game Pass. Game Pass is just a value on its own, right? So I don't know that they would suddenly lose the console. They will keep making it as long as there are customers for it, right? If you want to buy a console, they'll give you a console. What I don't know is what happens next, right? Will the next console be kind of at a loss? Or will they say, you know what, at this point, why don't we just charge kind of, even. Whatever it costs us, you have to pay that, right?
Right.
And then we'll make it up in the store, right? Like that's fine. But right now they went and they lost, I think it was like $200 for like Series S or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, that's a lot of money to lose. And then how do you make that up? It's a digital console. Okay, cool. How many games do people buy? How many people are buying subscriptions of Game Pass? Is it enough, right? It's a lot of money for a company to lose. So I don't know that you get the cheap console anymore. And look, this generation has been weird where console prices went up instead of down. It almost always went down. Now it's going up. It's a weird generation, right? And what we're getting to is like a point where it's harder for them to just shrink the die and get cheaper. Shrinking the die is making it more expensive, so they're not doing it. That's been the problem, right? So I don't know that it's going to be easy to get cheaper consoles, but that's a world we're going to get into, right? And so we have to kind of see where that goes. They're going to give you another gen. Is that enough? Because once they start that gen, that's 10 years of that life cycle at least, right? So then what, that 26, 27, whenever they come up, that's all the way down to 37, out to 36. Who the hell knows what's happening that many years out, right? What does the world look like? Just consider back 10 years, back 15 years. What was the world like compared to today, right? Like if I go back 15 years, the iPhone's coming out. Just think about that. The iPhone came out, okay? That's what we're looking at. That was a world shift, right? What happens 15 years? I don't know. God only knows what it's going to be like. The TV thing could be totally the case, right? Because every TV is like 4 times more powerful. It's like, I can just play the game natively on the TV. I don't even need anything else. I forget it's cloud. I just run the game on my TV. Okay, cool, right? Because we're getting to a point where graphic fidelity, the Pro, doesn't even show up, right? It doesn't even show up. It's got more power. It's like, okay, so what? I can't see it. Like, what's the difference? I don't care. The lower end's fine. Right. This is where we're at now. And I've been saying this, like at some point you get to an inflection point of like power versus cost. It's just not going to matter. You're already at a level where it's like, it's fantastic. Do I need more? Okay. You have more sparklies over here. Okay. That's nice. Is that like going to kill it? Like, am I going to pay $1,000 for that? I don't know. Right. At some point you might just say, hey, my Series X is good enough. I'm not seeing the difference. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. AI might be a very cool thing, right? The capability within games, not just the AI upscaling, but AI capability in games. Maybe that's cool. Maybe you can stream that from the internet. Maybe you don't even need it on the box. I don't know, right? Again, 15 years from now, I don't know what happens. We're getting another gen. That's happening. Both of them are saying they're going to give us another gen, right? So you can just mark that that's done. Go ahead and buy it. You have it. It's an option. You want to buy it? Buy the Xbox. No problem, right? So you have that option. The next one after that, I don't know. I don't know what the capability is. Like the thing that I'm missing is path tracing. Can they pull that off in the next generation? Maybe, maybe not. Right? Am I going to say that's the end of the world? No. So I'm seriously considering what will be the 5090's purpose for me. I want to see the cell. What are you giving to me? Because the 4090 has everything.
24 gigabytes of VRAM. That's what the cell is.
Why do I care? Again, like, what does that mean to me, right? I need to see, like, look, PS5 Pro is that much more powerful. Okay, show me. Show me. What did it show? Yeah. I can't tell. Okay, now, and people have regret, right? That's the way it is. So, like, this is the thing. We're getting to a point where it's like, it's too much power. I don't care. Show me what you get me. Like, what am I getting for this, right? It's going to be $2,000, $2,500. What am I getting for this, right? So that's the thing we're at. And eventually we're going to get it there, right? So now in 15 years, what does that look like? Like all the cards we have now will be garbage, absolute garbage in 15 years. Absolute garbage. Think back to 15 years ago. Yeah, those things don't run games today. So, like, what are we going to have 15 years from now? I don't know. But so that's why
you're going to have Ready Player One is probably what you're going to have.
Literally, right? It literally could be the glasses you put on will have everything you need, right? And you don't have a phone anymore. You just like put on a pair of glasses and your whole world becomes this live thing. Who knows? This could very well happen, right? It's almost there already, right? So, look, I don't worry about the console. We have it. The next gen's coming. It's already being developed. Both saying they're doing it. PS6, whatever the next Xbox is coming. A handheld is coming. We now have confirmation, right? That's where we are. So we have hardware coming. I'm not worried about that. It's just then a question of what happens after that. But again, I don't know what the world looks like 15 years from now. I don't know if we need another generation. This might be the last one. This might be just more than enough, right? We'll have to see. And then you have to, like, if there is a gen after that, fine. Will Microsoft want to make it or not? We'll see. At that point, I really do think at that point, the Windows thing is going to happen because it makes much more sense for them to partner and have other people make fantastic hardware that meets certain needs that they won't go after. One of the problems we run into is just the PlayStation 5 is a PlayStation 5 on a table under your TV, right? What if somebody wants a portable one? Well, you can't unless PlayStation does it. Whereas in the world today, you could say, you know what? I want a ROG Ally. I want to play my Xbox games. Okay, cool. They're giving you kind of an option with Game Pass libraries on both sides. You have cross entitlement for some things.
That's
you
a great
have
point.
You have a partial way there, right? At some point, why shouldn't it just be the whole bloody thing? What if I want a portable PlayStation and Asus is willing to give it to me? Why can't I buy that?
Well,
why can't I just buy that and play my PlayStation games?
There you
right?
go.
This is the world we need to think about. And then long term, that's what needs to happen. Like, the studios, I don't think they care. I think they want to make money. What they don't want is, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't make enough money. We're closing your studio. Right. And that's unfortunately the world we're in. Right. A lot of studios close because they don't sell enough. You don't want to end up that way. There was 6 PlayStation studios have closed since their gen, right? This gen. Like, come on, how many more do you want to close before they realize, no, put the games everywhere, make the money, like make the studio stay alive? Like, if the game is 4 years old, does it matter at this point? Are you selling more consoles? Put it everywhere. But it doesn't matter. And they realize that. That's why their games are going to PC, right? So I'm not worried. You're going to have more hardware, guys. If you're worried about a next Xbox, you're going to get it. It's happening. You can buy that if you want to. If you don't want to, you want to go somewhere else, fair enough. I recommend PC. It's a great platform, right? If you can deal with the PC-ness, there is a PC-ness. It is not going to be a console.
Which is why
there is a PC-ness. Every now and then you got to break out the keyboard and mouse and say yes to a driver update or whatever, get this dialogue box out of the way. There is PC-ness. There is a PC-ness to it, right? But if you go beyond that, it's a great platform that has everything. However, if you want the console experience, they're giving it to you. It's still going to be there. They still have been talking about this whole store integration with Epic, potential store integration with Steam, with itch.io, right? All those, they were looking at all those store integrations. That could still happen. And if that happens, that library just sort of comes over as well onto your Xbox. I'm just saying these are potential options. We don't know what it's going to look like, but there are plenty of capabilities there. And that's how they're going to compete. The other thing to keep in mind, Xbox is always going to have a killer showcase just because of the sheer number of studios they have.
They have a lot of studios.
And that enthusiasm, because look, the average customer isn't doing this level of deep dive analysis. Oh, I can get my game 2 years later on a PlayStation. Why don't I buy the PlayStation? No, they're going to say, oh, Xbox has all these games. I want to play these games. That's how it works. Why do people think that PlayStation has all these games? Because they market the games. They might be everywhere. It doesn't matter. They marketed. This is on PlayStation. That's all they see. Now, what are the PlayStation showcases that really seem to be a stellar A-level showcase? They don't have them for the last few years. They haven't had one. You know who has? Xbox. So this is what's going to happen. On and on and on. Every year, they're going to come out in June and give you a killer showcase. It's going to be a B level or higher. And maybe PlayStation can compete with that. Maybe. So far, they haven't. And if that keeps happening, you're just going to get an enthusiasm gap, and it's going to shift people over to the other side. They don't care that it's coming everywhere else. They don't care to be on a Nintendo. They're going to say, oh, Xbox has these games. Okay, that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
And the more they do this, the more they go to Tokyo and show all these, nice Japanese games. Did PlayStation do that? Did they show you? No, it was Xbox that showed you all these Japanese games. Like, this is what's going to keep happening. Right? The enthusiasm gap is going to keep growing. And then if that happens, that's how they're going to capture market. Why is it after they're putting things on PC that the Xbox ecosystem is still healthy? Why? Because people see that it's on Xbox. That's it. That's what they see. This is on Xbox. The average consumer doesn't see that difference. Like, they just see it's on Xbox. PC gamers say, oh, the game's coming here. Cool. Right? That's the way it goes. So no, I don't think this is the end of it. That's why they're doing this. They're seeing the metrics and they're saying, yeah, it doesn't seem to matter. Right? If I put a game that's like 4 years old over there, it doesn't break anything for us. It's like, okay, cool. If I put Sea of Thieves that came out in, what's it, 2018 or whatever?
It's been a minute.
Put that onto PlayStation. Okay. I sold another 1 million copies. Cool. I had 40 million players here. I sold another 1 million. What the hell? It's just more money. Right? Did it break Sea of Thieves? No. Did it cause people to leave Xbox? I hope not. Like, does that matter? Right? So this is what I'm looking at. And like, so I don't think it's really that dire. You need to calm down. It's okay. This is not the end of the world. Xbox knows what they're doing. You're going to have the hardware if you want it. And it's like the rest of their businesses, right? Dell makes laptops. So does Microsoft. You're welcome to buy a Surface. You don't have to. You can buy a Dell. You can buy a Lenovo. You can buy an HP. They're happy either way. You're buying their stuff after all anyways. They don't care.
Yeah, Windows is
Right?
everywhere. And Xbox is
So they're happy.
yeah.
That's how it goes. So it's okay, right? They just want to have a sliver of the market and they want to sell you their games and services, which is where they make the ton of money that they're making, right? So whatever. They also want to get in the mobile market. Same thing. They're not going to give you a mobile phone. They tried that shit. It didn't work. They moved on and they're like, we want to get on iOS and Android. We want to have our stuff there, right? We want to make our money there. So that's what they're trying to do, and that's what they're going to do. So
and that's what Hargeet, that's what they continue to do. Listen, the hardware thing, and I want to bring this to Kay Asante because Kay, I believe you actually made mention of this on one of the shows with John Wolf, where exactly to the point of what Hargeet said. If by some reason Xbox says we're not making hardware, they will let other people make the hardware for them, and you will go to Alienware and buy your next Xbox. And maybe at that point, you as the consumer could be like, you know what? Look at all these choices. I don't want the $700 Xbox. I want a $2,000 Xbox because I'm putting this, and this in there, and they're going to ship it to me for free. And now I just built my next Xbox. Now, is that going to be a thing that is going to happen? Well, I don't know, but I can tell you that we have at least the next gen hardware coming in the form of a under the TV box, as well as a handheld. I do not see what the panic is all about. Can you make sense of this?
So I too, as you know, have that belief, right? I've written a lot about it. I've talked about it for some years now. My claim to fame, I got an op-ed in Xbox Era. That's exactly what I said, which is there's a future where Microsoft, and how do I know this? I have spoken to the wizard a few times. He has not divulged that to me. Absolutely not. He's very stoic in his pursuits.
Indeed, he
is. He does not spill any of that tea to me. But I'm just looking at Microsoft historically, right? Exactly to what Hargeet was just saying a minute ago. They turn competitors into partners. Why? Because they know that's where money comes. If you're busy competing against me, then I'm trying to fight you, you're trying to fight me, and we're splitting the take. Whereas if we're partners, I will step aside, let you make all the dough. Then you step aside and let me make all the dough. And guess what? We're all making money. That is Microsoft's way. We don't like that. We want competition, but that does not make them money, right? I equate this to the analogy of remember back in the day when what was it? When Nas and Dr. and Jay-Z were releasing albums at the same time, and it was this whole thing and blah blah. It was all staged. At the end of the day, record companies sit down and they go, when are you releasing yours again? Oh yeah. We'll stay out of your way. You stay out of our way. That way, cha-ching, money's available for all. That's what they are doing here. So I sincerely believe that at some point, because we are talking about, like, because we've already talked about how the hardware is a means to an end. The hardware costs them massive amounts of R&D dollars. It does, to make sure that Boom and anybody else who's all about consoles can just every time plug in a disc or download a game and hit play and it works every time. That takes a lot of R&D. That takes a lot of care and feeding to make sure that it works perfectly, right? And they don't want to spend all that money, especially in a world where PCs are all over the place. Right? There's so much easier ways to do this than used to exist. So now that there are easier ways, it is logical that they'll head down the easy path. And what is that? That is, hey, maybe we don't put as big of a footprint into the market, because in this eventuality we're talking about, now people on PC have the PC Game Pass. It's doing tremendous numbers. Oh, we have Fire Sticks that are doing tremendous numbers. People are signing up to their phone, whatever, right? All these other endpoints are also hitting at a level that we nurture those consumers, then maybe Lenovo gets a contract. Maybe Asus gets a contract. How is it that you keep them making sure that you hit a certain quality measure? You make sure that you set up a quality bar, right? Hey, you want to call yourself Xbox? You want to be able to have that guide icon on your product and be able to call it an Xbox? Well, you need to have RAM at this threshold. This CPU needs to be this threshold. The quality needs to hit this, right? There are some other parts where they can differentiate themselves in the market by making different things available. Now, that won't work in today's world where the console development cycle and the console ecosystem is closed down like it is. They're going to have to forego a bit of that. They have to modify their processes a bit, maybe head down the path of PC from a development standpoint. But at that point, then end users or vendors can be like, hey, this thing has 6 gigs of RAM versus that thing that has 8 gigs of RAM. And now you the consumer, can choose. Hey, I want this because it has way more storage. It'll cost me a bit more, but that's okay, right? They want to get to a place where their sole focus is selling you what they want to sell you, which is the games. They are the game. That's why they want to sell you. That's why they are like that, right? And Boom, I heard you with there was a super chat that was talking about why is it they don't spend enough time talking about Game Pass? Because this is Phil Spencer. He can't spend enough time talking about Game Pass. He is CEO of gaming, and that is Xbox, as well as, because Xbox is not under ABK, as well as ABK, as well as the mobile arm and all of that. If you see Sarah Bond, she should be touting Game Pass all day, every day, because that is her bread and butter at this point,
right?
From a role perspective.
Xbox, yeah,
right. Xbox, that's where you find it, right? You why I say this, I know ultimately that's what we want. We want them to all be very much forthcoming with their marketing and all of that to make it work. But we've also heard very interesting key things in this conversation we've been having today about the interview, right? He also spoke about future purchases. They spoke about future purchases.
indeed.
If you walk around sticking your logo everywhere, that doesn't make your future purchases world easier. It makes it more complicated, right? They have fashioned their themselves as, hey, we're here, we're arbiters. We're here, we're caretakers. Look at Minecraft. Remember, every time anybody talked about ABK, they were like, look at Minecraft. We are stewards of Minecraft. Let's not talk about the fact that there's a rider in our contract that forbids us from doing anything we want to do. That's neither here nor there. Nothing to see here. We are stewards of Minecraft, right? And they want to be stewards of many other platforms. In order to do that, you have to be very much hands off. Look, we're not trying to kill anybody. We want everybody to live. That way, next time you go try to take another bite of the apple, they don't come after you and go, oh, you just make exclusives. They now can go, look, we even had exclusives in the form of Indiana Jones. We put it everywhere. This is why they can't market their own stuff so full-throated. Pause. Right? They have to be a little magnanimous. They have to move a little differently because they have purchases on the mind. Right? And the minute you bring purchases up, right? Hargeet's talking about a world where maybe they walk away with Valve. Yeah, that's going to be a big uplift. That's going to be a huge conversation. And every bit of this ground you have seeded in putting your games everywhere. Look at Doom the Dark Ages. We could have put it on our platform. It's the Dude Bro shooter. It could have been here. We chose not to. Why? Because we're for everyone. This is how you make the future purchases work. Yep. So I think that's why they're moving a little differently in that. We may not be happy with it, but we'll see what happens in the long run. But again, I say all this to say, us old graybeards should maybe bring the blood pressure down a little bit, because A, this is not news. They've been telling you this in many different forms for a long time now.
Yep.
It feels like today is when people finally actually heard them. And B, in the long run, this may end up benefiting you and your library. Wait and see.
Yeah. Well, only time is going to tell what they're going to do. But I saw the interview. I read it. I read it twice before the show. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Music 72 who noticed that I look tired. Is folks, I'm not going to front. I'm dying here. I've been running around since 7 o'clock this morning with barely any break. It's just been one of those days that just whooped this whole week has whooped my ass cowboy style, and I don't like it. So it's because I'm getting older, but yeah, usually I'm more energetic. I'm, trying to interact with the chat. I'm dying on the vine here, folks. This is because I'm literally exhausted. But I didn't want to miss the show. Obviously, I'm not sick. It's just been a week from hell already. But we got 2 more days. Tomorrow, I'm sitting down with C Money. The show that I originally wrote, we're going to cover tomorrow. And then, of course, Breakfast with Boom Friday morning is going to be a big one because, well, there's a lot to get into. But before we get out of here, before we do outros, please let me just catch up with some of the super chats we had here. THX1138 dropped a very generous $2 super chat and says, Game Pass is the Xbox platform on PC, Xbox, and cloud. And, well, he's not wrong. I mean, that's what it is. PC Game Pass. Game Pass is a platform, and you can play those games on these different locations. You can play it on cloud, on your TV, or on your handheld. You can play it on your PC. You can play it on your ROG. You can play it on your Lenovo, whatever you want to play it on. You can do it, or you can be traditional like me and have an Xbox Series X in the bedroom and one in the living room, and you can play your games there. And that's what we're going to be able to play at least for the next decade. Now, does things change? Maybe, but they're never going to stop making hardware. There may be a point where they give the ability for someone else to make it for them, but I always think they're going to make the hardware for people because Game Pass as a subscription is attached to these consoles that they sell, and they want you to pay your $20 a month, and they're not going to give away 20 million subscribers just because it costs a lot of money to make consoles. Of course, it costs a lot of money, but I think Kay is onto something where he says that instead of taking the loss, they're probably going to charge you. It cost us $700 to make the console. You're paying $700 for it, and maybe at some point they make a profit. But the days of them taking losses, I really do believe that Kay's onto something. I think that is done. But Abdel114 has been a channel member for a whopping 7 months. Brother, thank you so much for the support. He says, dudes need to stop crying like Amber Heard. Oh, wow. I love when ponies pay $76.43 for my Game Pass. TTS, everybody. Next Gen Xbox 2026. And I don't know what the hell. Go something or other. Go something or other. K Asante with the smiley face. So I don't know what that is, but I appreciate Abdel.
I think it's in Dutch. That's probably what it is.
I think
I didn't see it. Let me see. Let me see it. Forgive me. I'll read that because yes, I understand. My Abdel, my brother, likes to. Goedenavond, meaning good night, good evening. Yes.
Good evening, kind sir, to you as well. Thank you so much for the save there. Will Broke Boy Lewis, an old man just like me, and he's pretty damn good at Call of Duty as well as I am. And I've been getting into that winner circle quite a bit lately. Says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. And this is some breaking news. Boom. I pre-ordered the collector's edition music/art no game for South of Midnight. This comes out April 30th, 2025. Approximate game release date, maybe? Interesting there, Will. That sounds about right. April
Nicely
30th.
Done there, Will. Nicely
done. That is good detective work there, kind sir. We got to talk more when we get down with Call of Duty. I'm not playing tonight because I'm not going to make it past 10 o'clock. I'm going to be honest with you. But BT Maverick 707 drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, Microsoft buying Valve would do so much more harm than good to innovation and putting heat on Windows with its Linux OS / not having to answer to stockholders. I would rather see Microsoft.
There are no stockholders for Valve. I don't know where
there's no stockholders.
It's just Gabe.
Gabe owns it.
Yeah, Gabe owns it. It's a private. The only part that he is kind of right about is like Valve has put a shot in the arm of Linux like nobody's business.
Well, why would Microsoft not want to do that? Microsoft has their own flavor of Linux.
They do, but
who's the number one open source provider in the world? Microsoft.
They had to join them because they couldn't kill them. I don't know if they do
exactly,
that now.
And that's the right thing. That's what Satya said. It was like, why? Why am I like fighting this? I'm gonna use it. Let's put our stuff
I
there.
would rather them buy Sega personally. I'd rather them to go out and buy 2K, which would be awesome. That would be great because Grand Theft Auto would be in Game Pass. That would be great. We'll see. We'll see. Listen, Hargeet's smiling from ear to ear because he heard the magic words. We're still in acquisition mode, and that's all he wanted to know. And well, Phil Spencer has said it. Ultraman drops a very generous $10 super chat. Says Xbox changed and we didn't have time to adjust. Every time their message comes out, it seems fresh, even though it's the same. I'm an old gamer and I have to ask myself, gaming is changing. Can I change too? Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, I'm with you there. We're a bunch of old men here. I don't like it. I want that to be clear. But I am not giving up Xbox and pay $76.43 for Xbox and PlayStation games when I have Game Pass. I will buy PlayStation games when they come out, like an Astrobot that I bought and really enjoyed. I will go out and buy Mario Brothership, which I did, and I'm enjoying it. And I will go out and buy a game like Space Marine that's not on Game Pass, and that is okay too. Again, the gaming is changing. The way they do business is changing, and we have to change with it, or just unfortunately get left behind. That's just the nature of the business. King Webb drops a very generous $2 super chat and says they want mobile, so Square or Sega or Mayoverse. I mean, if they got Sega, man, they'd make a lot of money. But if they bought, listen, they're going to buy somebody else. Who? Maybe it's small, like little studios. I still think
they talked about China.
I think there's a big one there, man. I really do. But let's get everyone out of here so this old man can go and put his feet up on the couch and just chill for the rest of the evening. Hargeet Chani, where one thing we know we can't do is find you on social media, and you're smart not to do it because social media sucks sometimes. But they can find you with Fonz if you guys are doing a show this evening. They can find you on multiple shows throughout the week. You also have your own YouTube channel, and you have a book that you wrote and released this year called Emergence. Tell everyone whether A, could buy the book, B, subscribe to your YouTube channel, and more importantly, find you on other shows.
Sure. So my channel is YouTube. It's on YouTube. Sorry, it's HargeetChani1. Subscribe away if you want to. Want to buy my book? Shop.chani.us. You can buy the merch, which I'm wearing the shirt. You can get that there if you want, and get a signed copy if you like. And then, no, we're not doing the GameStop Live. It's now moving. We're going to do it on Saturdays at 6 p.m. So check that at 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So check that out on Saturday. But next up will be Night Shift with C-Money and Doodle on Point for Gamers, and that'll be at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on their channel. So check that out.
Nice. Well, good stuff, and obviously, thank you for the Fonz gaming channel, which is fantastic. Is going to move to Saturdays, which is great because I think that's you're going to have a more open platform rather than going later at night. So that winds up working out. Yeah. But obviously, please subscribe to Hargeet Chani's channel and check him out everywhere he is. And he's literally here, there, and everywhere. But thank you for being here, brother. Super appreciate it. And KSante, Saturday is around the corner, even though it's only Wednesday. And that is the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You and, of course, the kneeless ones. I don't know if they grew back or not because whatever. But he's going to be there. I'm sure that this interview is going to be a conversation, and I'm sure that he and you are going to have a lot to talk about. Please tell everyone where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, check out your show on Saturday mornings, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, well, as usual, we appreciate all the folks that jump in on a Wednesday evening and hang out with us. Always great to have you guys with us. Of course, always great to chat with my great brothers in arms here on the panel. You can find me, KSante, TKO Asante, on all the places we communicate, even now in a new place called Blue Sky, which a lot of people follow me on Blue Sky all of a sudden.
I joined as well, kind sir. Yes.
I checked my phone and like 30 people are following. I'm like, hey, now this is pretty awesome. We're growing a pretty healthy following there. So I am on Blue Sky. Come check me out. It's still peaches and rainbows over there because there haven't been enough. There's no console warring there. You have to drop your console war card before they allow you in the Blue Sky building. So, it's still fun over there. But yeah, come check me out there. The Game Circle podcast is Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you mentioned. Myself and Everborn Saga, we will be at it. We will have a great guest this weekend to discuss all things with. And yeah, man, you can also find me on the gamingcircle.com. A new little interesting venture I've started. Lots of little videos and of our previous episodes, as well as a blog section where we talk about lots of different things we want to talk about. Maybe some graybeard stuff, gaming as a parent and talking about all manner of things that we find useful and want an outlet for. So come check us out there. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Well, definitely, we definitely see you back here next week, and can't wait to see what the conversation is going to be this Saturday. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to a big thank you to over 800 live viewers across X. I don't know. We got to get Blue Sky involved in here and see if we get people over there. I'll be adding my Blue Sky account link into the show notes. So if you want to follow me there, please by all means follow. And of course, we'll start adding everyone else's Blue Sky because it is very much old school Twitter, and it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying myself there. I don't know if it ever replaces Twitter, but we will eventually see. Again, a big thank you to all of the super chats, ladies and gentlemen. We do greatly appreciate the support, both through the channel memberships as well as the consistent super chats that you drop. And just as a reminder, not this Friday, next Friday, Mrs. Boom and I are going to be celebrating the release of Stalker 2, which comes out Wednesday. Phil Spencer specifically said that he believes that this game is going to be talked about in the Game of the Year circles. Everything I've seen has it being to be an amazing experience. Well, what are we celebrating? Well, in order for us to quote unquote support the dev, Mrs. Boom and I are spending our own personal money and buying 15 copies of Stalker 2 to give away on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. The first 8 will go to anyone that is a channel member. And how does that happen? Well, the picker here at StreamYards, I'm going to give you a hashtag. You put it into the chat, and it just picks your name, and you're going to get a chance to win, whether you want it for Windows or you want it for Xbox. And the other 7 winners will be anybody in the chat during the live stream. This live stream is going to run about 90 plus minutes. And again, all you have to do is be in the live chat to win. And it's our way of A, supporting the dev, and B, giving back to the community who's very generous with us. And that is happening next Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at Primetime Gaming. Thank you again for checking out the show. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's very important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be very important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.